Today I'm talking to everybody about works versus grace. Okay, now I'm gonna start off by using an analogy. All right, because the balance between works versus grace, a lot of people get it out of balance, and the two seem to be on opposite ends of a particular spectrum, in which there's a median line in which you need some works and you need some grace. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over an analogy, and then I'm gonna discuss on both sides of the equation what happens when you get that balance wrong. Okay, and what you can do to make sure the balance is right. Okay, all right. So now check this out. Okay, check this out. So we start off in the bakery. All right, let's say we're in the bakery. All right, now in this bakery, just like it talk about in Romans 9, there's different type of vessels. In this bakery, there's different types of pastries. You know, there's different types of breads. You know, there's your hard bread, there's your sourdough, there's your tough bagels, and then you got your desserts, you got your pastries, you got your cakes, you got your donuts, you got your croissants, you got all of those. Okay. All right. So on my dessert side, I'm gonna say those are the grace type. And on my other side, I'm going to say those are the works type people. Now, okay, in God's design for individual people and individual vessels, he designs vessels differently, okay? He designs, see, in this baker analogy that I'm using, okay, the goal is for every single thing to be baked and made into something that's edible, okay? Now the output, okay, the end goal for each individual dessert or pastry is going to be different. Okay, there's going to be some people that are going to be more works-based because that's what God is doing through them, and then there's others that are going to be more grace-based because that's what God is doing through them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's where that median line is. Okay, I'm gonna use the baker analogy now. Okay, the median line is, are you edible? Okay, so check this out. Okay, so then they get put in the oven, they get baked. Okay, now some people on the work side, check me out. Some people on the work side, because the mixture was wrong, they come out the other side and they become too hard. Okay, and on the other side, on the grace side, because the mixture was wrong, they come out on the other side and they're not cooked all the way through. They still dough. Some of them still mush. Some of them didn't turn into a structure. Okay, so now check this out. Okay, on both sides of the equation, there are ways that somebody can be at the end of the day where they're not edible. Okay, not edible before the Lord, before the baker. Okay, now check me out. Okay, on the work side, I'm gonna deal with that side first. On the work side, okay, there's people that focus on works too much. They focus on works too much in their physical life and in their spiritual life, and they can get out of balance. And here's a couple of things that'll happen if you get out of balance when you're doing too many works. Okay, when you start doing too many works, all right, a lot of times because you don't give yourself a break, you don't give other people a break either. Okay, a lot of times people find themselves in positions like this because life circumstances have put them in positions where they had to work themselves out of something. They had to use their own strength, their own merit to get them out of a situation because there wasn't nobody to help them. But the dark side to that is some of these people over here, sometimes they lack compassion. Okay, sometimes they lack empathy. Okay, sometimes they can have people in their life, in their situation where they could help, that they don't help, simply because they're like, well, nobody helped me, so why should I help you? Okay, that's what can happen when you do too many works, when you get this balance out of whack. Okay, and to go even further. Okay, to go even further. Okay, we know based on Ephesians, you know, that we not saved based on our own works. We saved based on grace. We saved by grace through faith, at least no man should boast. Okay, but check this out. Okay, it go even deeper on the work side of things. John 13:8. Okay, Jesus is talking to Peter, right? And Jesus goes to wash Peter's feet. All right, check me out. So he washes his feet, and then Peter's like, no, you're not gonna wash my feet. And then Jesus, you know what he says to him? He says, if I don't wash you, I have no part in you. Okay, that's what he says to Peter in response. And Peter said, okay, wash my whole body then. He says, no, I just need to wash your feet. You don't need to wash your whole body. You're already clean in that regard. That's basically what Jesus is telling. Okay, now check this out. Okay, So in this situation, okay, a lot of people miss this, okay? Not only does Jesus make himself into the position of a servant in this particular parable, okay? But he's also saying that if you don't put yourself in a position of humility for Jesus to humbly serve you, he doesn't have any part in you. That's pretty significant. And when you do too many works, you put yourself in a position where Jesus is no longer serving you anymore. You're the one doing all the work. You see what I'm saying? So when you're doing all the work, then you put yourself in a position where Jesus ain't a part of you no more. Okay? And then you drifting off from where the faith is. Okay? They talk about this in Galatians. They talk about all throughout the New Testament where he's talking to the Pharisees, how they base their credentials of salvation and their righteousness based on their own works. You see this all throughout Scripture. But before you get out of balance all the way in these other directions, you have to be sensitive to it in advance, because if you get this out of balance, Jesus may look at you and say, I had no part with you. Okay? So now check this out. On the work side of things, there are benefits to that. Okay? There are benefits to doing a lot of works. Okay? And even in the natural, another thing you end up doing, okay? You start to look for your own reward. People that do too many works, they start to look for their own reward because they do work and they look for transactional type relationships. And once you build yourself too much with transactional type relationships, then you cut yourself off from God being able to reward you. Okay? When you reward yourself, then God ain't the one that rewards you anymore because you already have your reward. Okay? So now check this out. When you focus too much on works in this regard, it actually helps you in life, but it hurts you in terms of your dealings with the Lord. Okay? But in this same thing, you still have to have works. That's what makes this thing so tricky. Because you have to have works. Because what? Faith without works is dead. That's what it talks about in James 2. Okay? Faith without works is dead. Okay? And yet, we're supposed to have works. Okay? It talks about in Philippians 2:12, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Okay? But yet, check this out. Now we go back to the Old Testament. And rest is so important that it's one of the 10 commandments. And if you were caught working on the Sabbath, okay, in the Old Testament, they were instructed to stone you if you worked on the Sabbath. That's how important, okay, and that's God's law. That's how important rest is to the Lord, okay? And when you work too much, you get this out of balance and you get right out of his will, okay? So that's on the work side, okay? So it's important that on the work side that you allow God to serve you. Make sure you're open and receptive to either people showing you compassion. See, sometimes God will put you in a position where you don't think you need compassion physically, but you might need it for your heart. You might need it for your own heart, being able to see the hand of the Lord working in your life, making sure you're humble enough to serve him to the capacity that you're supposed to. Okay? So now, being receptive to that, being aware of that, and constantly looking for God to serve you and rescue you in your situation. Okay? That's what you have to do to keep that in balance on that side. But now over here on the grace side, okay, we have another problem. And on the grace side, it's actually even more dangerous than the work side. Because on the work side, okay, it comes with its own course correction. There's a lot of very good men and women, okay, solid men and women of God, okay. God will put them through trials, okay. He put me in trials like this, okay, where he sit them on the side. He give them impossible circumstances. He give them situations where they can't get out. He give them situations where sometimes they get diseases, sometimes they get health issues, sometimes they get injury, all kind of stuff like that, okay? Because he's sitting them aside to make sure they don't focus too much on doing their own works. Even though they are a good person, sometimes they need to rely on the Lord just a little bit more, okay? In order for them to be soft enough, to have enough compassion to be edible. Because otherwise, when you do too many works, you can get hardened, trust your own self, and then you're not receptive to what the Lord's hand is, and then you're not receptive to helping the people that he wants you to help because you're not receiving the grace you're supposed to receive. Now over here, on the grace side, there's people that's receiving too much grace. I'm going to give you an example of that, right? Some people probably looking at this, how can I receive too much grace? I'm going to tell you, okay, if a person only get grace in their life, okay, if a person only get grace in their life, what they end up being is a person that don't have no type of character. They like a bowl of mush, in the baker analogy. They like a bowl of mush. No character, okay? No structure, okay? As soon as you take the mold out, they just melt, okay? There's a lot of people like that in churches today. I say the majority of churches in America, they on this side of things. Nothing but grace all around. Now I'm gonna talk about what that look like, and how that manifests itself, okay? There's people literally on the grace side of things that have zero works for the Lord. And I mean zero, okay? Because some of these people, they're so weak in their faith, okay, that they have trouble saying hello to people that they know in the church, okay? They have the people that they know, they have trouble saying hello to. They had trouble greeting their neighbors. That's like challenging them and getting them out of the box. They had trouble talking up in their Bible studies and saying the answers that's already on the page that they just went over in the video that they just watched, okay? They had trouble even voicing prayer requests. They all putting their fingers on their nose to determine who ain't gonna pray. And the person that do it the last, they the eyeball that has to pray. Come on, man. These are zero works people, okay? And these zero works people are constantly giving grace. They're constantly looking at God gonna bless me. He gonna give me grace. Oh, we don't do what we're supposed to do, but God is gonna rescue. He gonna still make it better. He gonna still make it better. And they like spoiled children, okay, with a silver spoon in their mouth, okay, that never do anything productive or significant in the whole spiritual life, okay. Now check this out. I'm not saying for a second that just because somebody's rich that they wrong, or just because they on the side of things that they're automatically not right before the Lord. I'm not saying that at all, okay. And I mean, somebody can be a millionaire and still be doing what the Lord wants them to do in their correct sense. That's why I said some people in the bakery, some people are cakes. Some people aren't meant to be rough and tough, and, like some of the other works-based people over here, okay? But on this side, you still have to have structure. You still have to have works. Otherwise, faith without works is dead. And a lot of these people had dead faith because they don't have no type of accountability, okay? It's so bad over here. Check this out. It's so bad that if God were to try to put some of these people in the bakery, there'd be 10 people around them trying to get them out of the bakery. 10 people around them trying to get out of the bakery. If they were getting ready to be put in a situation with a fiery trial, okay, people would get them out of the oven and get them out of that trial so that they don't develop and get the structure, and they just sit on the side being bush. That's why a lot of these people, a lot of them don't even get significant trials, because God already know in advance what people are going to do around them and what they're going to do. So he doesn't even give them a trial. Some of these people ain't even children of God. Some of these people aren't even, they're not even the offspring of the Lord, okay? Some of these people, okay, are a type of people that are here and they just here to be judged, okay? But there's some people, okay, that God is still trying to get to on this side of things. And you know what one of these main lifelines is? Guilt, okay? Guilt. Now a lot of people will say, okay, check this out. You got a lot of pastors in this grace sector, okay? You got a lot of pastors in this grace sector that'll get up and tell you in front of you how they not applying their own message. And I'm not talking about people being transparent about their faults. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying get up every day and tell you how they're not applying their message, how they have no real life application to the scriptures that they're presenting to you. They preaching ideals, but not preaching no lifestyle to attach the ideals to and really live it out. And some people use morality as to say that they're not more sinful than somebody else. But somebody cannot be immoral, okay, and still be just as sinful as somebody that is very immoral, okay? So now check this out, okay? A lot of these people, because they're set aside, they don't have any trials, they don't develop, they don't become what they're supposed to be, okay? And so check this out. What you have to do when you're in this situation, okay? Always look out for what the Lord is specifically trying to say to your individual heart. Now, this is what I was saying earlier. I was talking about the guilt. Now, check me out, okay? Guilt is one of the only lifelines some of these people have, showing them that something ain't right, okay? And they have to do a lot of searching to find what isn't right, okay? I was in this boat myself, okay? So now check this out.
You got all these people around you telling you everything is right, everything is good. But there's a little bit of guilt, that last bit of lifeline, that God is trying to reach out to you and tell you, hey, something ain't right here. You need to be searching, and you need to be receptive and listen to that. Because there's a lot of preachers on this side that's gonna tell you that, oh, that's just the enemy. That's just the devil. He's just trying to condemn you. But some of y'all are missing out on God's only lifeline to you, to get you in the right balance and doing things to make yourself edible in this bakery. Okay? So this is what you need to do when you're on this side. You need to make sure you listen. Make sure you're in tune. And make sure you obey your conscience when you're on this side. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the Lord to determine the balance. It's up to the Lord to make you soft enough over here if you're too works-based. It's up to the Lord to make you strong and give you some trials that other people don't rescue you from, so you can get to the proper balance and get yourself in the bakery. But either way, give glory to the Lord. Whether your balance is being a cake over here or your balance is being a tough piece of bread over here, the Lord has to be the one to weigh the balance. He has to be the one that's baking you. And make sure you're receptive to what he's speaking to you and what he's showing you individually in your life. Because if you don't get the balance right, it can cost you big in the tournament. That's my message on the day. You take care.